Hey guys, John Cannon for JJ Entertainment. Thank you guys for your questions. Again, every Monday we do a little thing called Q&A Monday, where you guys submit your questions, preferably via YouTube. If you guys comment on the video on Facebook, or I catch it on Twitter or Facebook, I'll try to include those questions in there as well. But we do this every Monday where you guys submit your questions to me, and once I get done doing whatever it is I do on Mondays, I take the time to go through all your questions and answer them to the best of my ability. A lot of the stuff that comes in over Facebook, I get these messages every day, it seems like, from people that I've never met, that I'm not even friends with. They found me on YouTube, or they've seen me on the groups, and they've seen either our company grow, or they've seen videos from our recent events, and they're inspired, they're touched, whatever it may be. Guys, thank you so much. It means the world to me. I get these messages and I try to respond to all of them. And when I got into doing this, all I wanted to do was inspire others and create amazing events. And I knew if I just followed my heart, that the money would come. And if you follow your dreams and you're passionate about something, you know, the money will come one way or another. And fortunately, you know, we're doing really well. And it just, guys, I can't thank you enough. It means the world to me. Today is actually special to me because this marks the 4-year anniversary of when I took my 2 weeks notice in and I turned it in, and that day changed the rest of my life. I don't think we would be doing remotely anything close to what we're doing now if it wasn't for that decision 4 years ago to take the next step with our business. So, thank you again, guys. Thank you for being part of this journey. So, enough ramble. Let me get to the questions. Discotech, Discotech, I always see you on there commenting. Thank you so much. He goes, hey there, what is the best uplight to buy? I want to invest in uplighting, and also how bright do they need to be? First off, there's a lot out there with uplights. I haven't stayed current with them. I see them from time to time. We started out with 10-watt fixtures that were RGBWs, and the 10-watt fixtures worked out really well for us. Now, keep in mind, when they're 4-in-1 or 5-in-1, for example, the RGBW, it's a 4 LED fixture, and they're 4-in-1 LEDs. So out of those 10 watts, each color shared 2.5 watts. So you had a 2.5 watt red, 2.5 watt green, 2.5 watt blue, 2.5 watt white, which made the total of a 10 watt LED bulb. So we started out with the Blizzard Q6s, and they had 6 LEDs that were 10 watts apiece, and those worked out really well for us. So I think if you start out at the 10 watt area, you're good to go. Now with some of the chip on board technology, I believe the LEDs are brighter, and also there's different brands. Like there's Cree LEDs, which were, you know, when they came on the market, they were like the bright LEDs you wanted. So really, there's so many options out there now that it's all becoming relative, and they're all becoming very similar. Look at the beam patterns of how the beam spreads, whether it's a 30-degree throw or a 40-degree beam angle. I think two of the important colors you want are amber and white. If you only pick one, I would take amber, because with white you can lighten up the colors really well, but amber is going to give you a lot more of those warm colors. And if you want like a true amber uplight, especially around here, we got a lot of rustic venues and historic venues we go into. And sure, some of them like the blue uplights and the pinks and so forth, but a lot of them want that rustic feel. So amber uplighting works best for those venues. So if you get the options, go with an amber and a white. If you have the option for a UV, absolutely get the UV, the 6-in-1 LEDs. Those are what we're going to start looking for when we come around to replace our uplighting fixtures here, probably come homecoming season. So the other two things that I think are absolutely necessary, especially for us, is making sure they're battery powered, because you do not want to wire cables, especially in these historic homes. You don't know what's on the outlets. Sometimes you don't have outlets to work with. So battery uplights have been absolutely amazing to work with. So if you have the ability to get battery uplights, go for those. And if they have wireless DMX in them, by all means, please get those. Those, you cannot go wrong. If you get 6-to-1 LEDs, batteries, battery powered, and a wireless as well, and they all come in a road case, you're good. You are golden. Those will last you. Take care of them. They'll last you for some time. I like the wireless and I like the battery because for DMX purposes, to be able to DMX an entire room wirelessly and have complete control over all the fixtures individually or all of them as one, single DMX channel, it's amazing to be able to dim it or make the whole room strobe with the lights or to do multicolor patterns and so forth. That's really nice. If you're not into DMXing, the other advantage of having the wireless built in is the master and slave. Meaning if you had 20 uplights, you could have 19 of them on slave mode. And you have one uplight on master. And what you do is you set that one master uplight to a blue, and then the entire room will be blue. So you don't have to go around and program each individual uplight to your colors. You can just program the one, and it'll send that signal out to the rest of them. So, final answer, RGB, AW. If you can get UV, go for it. Definitely get battery, and definitely get wireless. And make sure you have a nice road case that can charge the fixtures. So, I hope I answered your question there. Woopig, I see you on a lot of the videos. Thank you again. You asked purchasing gear. How long do you keep your equipment before retiring it? Could be anything, lights, speakers, etc. I have some old EV Eliminator KW Series PA that I use for school dances. They sound great, but I'm trying to figure out whether to pull the carpet off and Duratex them to make them more appealing visually, or retire them to something new. Thanks. Most of the time for our speakers, we try to move them out every 2 years. And the reason being is that there's so many. Well, first off, the powered speakers, once the active or powered speakers hit the market, those were awesome. It was nice not to have an amp rack anymore and to have it all compact, ready to go. Now, there's certain circumstances that I wish we still had an amp rack, but that's a total different conversation for another day. So as new technology develops, whether you're going from a halogen light into an LED fixture, there are certain times where you want to go ahead and pull the trigger because you can still get out of the current product at a fairly decent resale and get into something new for a little bit of extra money. So if you're able to move something, like take for example the DDJ SX I had. The SZ came out, I hated the SX, and once the SZ came out, the market was flooded with SXs. And I kind of held on, waited for the market not to be so flooded with them, and then I was able to move that and get the SZ, and literally it was just the right timing because the SX version 2 came out probably 2 months later. Adam, if you're watching, I appreciate you buying the SX. For the speakers, whether to pull the carpet off and do some sort of coating on the outside, if it's for a school dance and they're working for you and you're happy with them, then I don't see a big issue with it. Now, if you're doing more of a corporate event or a more like an event where, I don't know how to really put this. If it's a wedding or a corporate event, you want your products to reflect you. If you have some ragged speaker or you have some lights that are super noisy and just beat the hell, I wouldn't put them on a rig for us because I don't want that to be the reflection of me onto the clients. I want our company, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. I want our company to reflect us. Even the details that nobody will see, that we clean up the wires underneath the table that no one sees but myself and my crew. I know that we took the time to take care of that. If we took the time to take that much detail to make something look nice that no one will see besides us, we then you know we take that much detail for what the clients see. And that's just been something that I saw from a Steve Jobs quote, and it kind of inspired me and really made me think. So I make my guys tape down everything, and the backstage looks just as presentable as the side that the clients see most of the time. So if you're doing events where you're the more of a focal point, like a wedding or like a corporate event where a lot of guests are, even like bridal shows too, you want your products to reflect you. You want them to look presentable, and that's just always been my way of doing things. Lights, you can move those out as technology permits. There's a lot of new speakers that are coming out that have some really great built-in features. I've seen some with Bluetooth built in. Like the K12s, they have, a decent mixing board on the back for 2 channels. They have the RCA inputs as well. So it really depends. It depends on what you're currently working with and where you want to go with things. But for me, if you're just doing school dances and they're based in, 90% of the school dances, they're going to be in a darker room. If you go ahead and you do the Durtex route to kind of, make it last until you decide to upgrade it, because at some point you want to upgrade. You want to get the newest stuff. You want to stay, you want to stay fresh. You want to stay current. And, some people will say, well, it depends on your ROI and this so forth. And sure, that makes sense. But a lot of the times, when you stay current, you learn new things. And I'm going to talk about that in a second here, where, we didn't really need to buy something at the time, but it'd be nice if we had it. And it ended up opening doors for us to do a lot of other things. And I'm gonna kind of go in a little more detail in a second. We'll big on that. Ergaza 52. I'm pretty good at beat mixing and song selections. But I would like to add some more flair to my mixes. A little scratching, beat juggling, some effects here and there. I don't want to overdo it with tricks, just spice up my skills some more. Where or what did you do to improve your skills on the turntables? Thanks, Isaac. So, I don't do a lot of juggling at events. Sometimes, like at schools with our MC, and he's like trying to hype up something, I'll do a little bit of juggling there. But during like weddings, I really just don't do a lot of scratching. Like, I'm not the focal point. I don't try to be like, I don't try to get the limelight a lot at weddings. School dances, I'll do a little more scratching. But as far as flares in your mixing, it's practice. It's practice. And, unfortunately, I don't practice as much as I should anymore. I used to, I would throw down at least an hour mix every day just working on new tracks, just trying new things out. And I've just been so busy, I just haven't had a chance to. And I always would say, oh, I just need a pair of turntables that I can leave downstairs. Now I have them, and I don't get on them as much as I used to. When I actually had to go out and get them out of the garage or get them out of the truck and bring them down to set them up, I was like, okay, I've set them up. I've gone through all this effort. I better get on it and practice some. But really, it's like I said, it's practice. Practice makes perfect on everything. But when you're practicing, try new combinations. Try, making little mini sets where you have 2 or 3 songs that you always kind of throw together. And once you kind of get those little mini sets, you start learning different ways to kind of mix and mash them together. And then you might learn a technique there where you can incorporate it on other things. I use the echo out a lot when I'm mixing from one track to another. I use my high pass and my low pass filter. Serato, I don't know why my nose is itching. Serato has a lot of effects packs you can buy. And so try some of those. See how they sound. See what you may like and what you may not like. As far as scratching goes, start with the basics. Don't just go in there and start trying to go as fast as you can and hit the crossfaders fast and going crazy. Just practice your baby scratches. Just like pss, 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 and just get an instrumental, get the Serato scratch sequence MP3, and just practice scratching. There's a ton of videos on YouTube on the introductory to scratching, because everything is built off the baby scratch. And from there, you can start learning little, different scratches, different stabs, different routines. and you start getting better with your fingers on the crossfader to be able to flick it back and forth faster. And really, it's practice. There's websites like Loop Masters that you can use, where you can get different loops, different kind of transitionals to kind of help you, whether it's like the whooshing sounds like whoosh, and then goes up, or it kind of help you transition from track to track. I have a cymbal effect that I'll use where it's just like a crash of a cymbal, and I'll kind of slowly bring that in to kind of help transition from one genre to another, or one style of music to another. But Loop Masters, you can find a lot of drum loops and a lot of just like the snares and the claps that you can kind of just scratch into and go to a quick 4 or 8 bar clap while you go into the next track. So it's really just playing with it. There's no right or wrong way per se. It's just your own style. And find DJs that inspire you. Like for me, I love DJ AM, rest in peace. And like I'll throw on his mixes and I'll just be like, oh my gosh, the combinations of tracks that he put together is amazing. So DJ AM's one of my most, the DJs I hold, close to the heart. I love listening to his stuff. I love hearing how he mixed and scratched things together. So AM's one of my top DJs that I like to listen to his old tracks. Jazzy Jeff is a legend. His Peter Piper routine's phenomenal. Listen to some of his work. You can go on YouTube and search some of his sets. One of the more recent ones, 4 Color Zach. Man, his scratching, his combinations, his tone plays. Tone plays is another real fun one if you can get into with a MIDI pad to play the tones of a certain track to blend into the next one. 4 Color Zach does some incredible tone plays with the guitar riff from No Sleep Till Brooklyn, using the dun 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 dun, and you could take certain notes of that to do the next episode. Dun 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 dun. And so, listen to some of his stuff, and you kind of get ideas on how to start. Maybe, okay, I remember I heard him do this. Let me see if I can replicate that. And then you take that technique and use it on something that you try. So find some DJs that inspire you. If you haven't heard of the Red Bull Freestyle, or Red Bull Freestyle, it's a DJ competition they hold globally. And they pick the best DJs from the major cities in the U.S., and then regionally, then nationally. And then they have, they go all over the world to all these different regions and get the best DJs, and then they have the world finals. And 4 Color Zach won one year, and now 4 Color Zach's on the judging panel with Jazzy Jeff. I believe Scratch Bastard was part of it as well. But it goes on every year, and it's definitely awesome to see all these different DJs from different backgrounds have this similar thing in common, being music. And, you have DJs that are all over the world, and you think that they would play something that you wouldn't recognize, but they're playing the stuff we jam out to, or they're playing versions of the stuff that we jam out to that may be done in their language that is banging over there. Or they have a certain remix that's popular in their country. So listen to other DJs. That's where I get a lot of my inspiration from. And also, follow some of the sites like DJ City and DJ Tech Tools, and see what they have going on, and see what their blog posts are, and just get involved in the community. So hopefully, Isaac, that answers some of your questions there, and hopefully you practice and share your mixes. I would love to hear them. Do videos of them, man. There's a lot of DJs that post up their videos of them mixing, and you're gonna get your haters that are going to critique the hell out of you, but then you'll get the genuine people that really are trying to help you. And if you mess up, who cares, dude? We all started somewhere or another. Some of the greatest didn't just pick up a record and know how to mix it instantly. We all started somewhere, so practice makes perfect, and keep practicing. Tim, you sent me this message via Facebook, and I hope you don't mind that I'm putting this in the Q&A. Tim goes, hey brother, wanted to say thank you for the awesome YouTube videos. You're doing you're a great man for doing that. I wanted to know if I could pick your brain. You and I are very similar. I'm currently at a job, blah, 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 blah. I have started my own business with hope of doing it full time. We both seem to strive to provide superior services and want to do the best we can. I was curious to learn what you did right and what you did wrong, and what you would have done differently. Tim out of St. Louis, Missouri. So, what I did right, what I did wrong, and what I would change. Excuse me. So, to me, timing is everything. When you make that leap, it's probably one of the most nerve-wracking moments. Again, it's 4 years today since I decided to make that leap. And the biggest thing is, make sure you have, first off, money set aside, which I wasn't really 100% prepared for that. I had a little bit set aside, but not as much as I could have. Luckily I had a great girlfriend, now wife, that was supportive and helped the business grow. But timing is critical. So make sure when you make that leap, you have the gear you need to get going. Don't jump into it and still have a ton of gear that you need to get, because you're going to be hurting financially. You're going to cut corners, and it's going to fall apart. So make sure you have the basics. Make sure you have what you need. Kind of write out your plans, what you want to accomplish in the next year, what you want to accomplish in the next 24 months. What gear that you're going to look for, what kind of events you're going to try to market towards, what are your goals, how are you going to do it, and put it down in paper, put it in Evernote, type it up, put it in a video, do something, but get it all down so you can kind of see the full picture. The biggest thing is be thirsty. There's a quote that I read a while ago. It talks about walking on. It's not really a quote. It's kind of a story. But it's walking on a conveyor belt going the opposite way. If you're on this conveyor belt and you're walking forward and the conveyor belt's going backwards, if you're just walking in the same pace, you're going to stay in the same spot and you're never going to move. If you stop, you're going to move backwards. But if you run, you'll start to move forward. And so that's really what it's about. It's about being thirsty, hitting the ground, hustling, and going after what you want. Don't give up. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. Bust your ass and make it happen. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Positive thinking can move mountains. I'm telling you. If you believe in if you believe in yourself, you believe in your product, and you believe in the outcome, going into a client, being confident, and telling them that, hey, I'm going to come to your school dance, or we're going to come to your school dance. This is why we're different and unique, and this is what makes us exciting. We're going to help you sell tickets. We're going to make this dance awesome. And work your butt off, man. It's about being thirsty. It's about being hungry, wanting those new clients, wanting to chase after and put the footwork in and do the grunt work to build your company. And if you have that passion and you have that drive, man, there's nothing that can stop you. So be thirsty. Don't stand still. Don't stop. Keep moving forward. Any progress is progress. Something that we weren't ready for was the snowball. And there was an old commercial that I saw or I heard on the radio, and it says it was an advertisement for something, but it said if we were to put you in a venue with 10,000 clients that were ready to inquire about your business, would you be ready? And I didn't hear anything else after that, but it made me think. If a client came up to you right now or emailed you right this second and said, hey, I'm having a wedding or I'm having a school dance, tell me what can you send me? Have something you can send. Put together a portfolio, put together some sort of brochure, something that you can send to them talking about your company. Have business cards. Don't use a Gmail or Yahoo email address. Have a website. Have a voicemail that's not like, yo, this is John, leave a message. Have a voicemail that says, hey, you reached John with JJDJ, or you reached JJDJ Entertainment. I'm sorry I couldn't reach your call, or get your call, leave a message. Have a professional voicemail, but be prepared for a snowball effect. Have your material ready to go. Plan ahead. Because what happens is, if you're not ready for that snowball, you're going to miss out on potential clients that could totally change the path of your company and be part of the growth of you being your own company, self-employed. We weren't ready for that snowball, and we After we did our first prom tour, we had so many schools contact us. And we were so excited about all these new schools, and we were booking them left and right. And what happened was we booked up, and the clients that were originally on board with us, we were booked up for the prom the following year, and we weren't ready to expand. And what happened was we ended up losing schools. And some of those schools we haven't got back. And some of those schools now are with one of our competitors, which are doing huge events with them that could have been us. And, you know, some of the schools we have gotten back. But, you know, be ready for the snowball effect. Be ready for the clients to roll in. I really wouldn't change anything. You know, I believe that, you know, going back to Steve Jobs, you know, you can connect the dots looking backwards, or looking back on them, but you can't always connect the dots looking forward. And really, the meaning for that is, you know, there's a lot of impromptu purchases we made that a lot of people told us we didn't need. There's no reason we needed that, blah, 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 blah. But I kind of felt that we could do something with this if we had it. Like, you know, we needed to be able to mix 4 or 5 mics for an event. And I could easily accomplish this with a $100 Behringer mixer. But I went out and I spent the money. I bought a PreSonus board. I bought a 16.4.2 AI board. It was $1,000, $1,200 purchase. Wasn't a small, you know, board, and it had 16 channels. I only needed 4. But what happened was we all of a sudden had the ability to do something bigger. So we started picking up conferences, and we started picking up graduations. And guess what? All of a sudden, that little 4-channel board that I would have bought wouldn't have worked, and I would have been selling it. So sometimes it's the old saying of buy once, cry once. And you buy something a little more than you may need at the time, but you start learning new things. Like, I've learned more about audio mixing in the past year than I ever thought I would ever know or even existed. And thankfully, I had a really great colleague, Ryan Leonardo, you know, take the time, and even one of our techs, Jeff Page, to take the time and help educate me and help me understand the audio mixing a lot better than I did, you know, a year ago. And I mean, there's another prime example would be our curved truss. You know, no one was doing curved trussing. And I saw one of these setups out in California from another company. If I can think of their name right now, I give them a shout out. But they did this beautiful curved truss setup, and I was like, I want to do that over here. And I can't tell you how many people jumped on that bandwagon of saying, that's silly, no one's going to buy that, you don't need it, you can accomplish it a lot cheaper doing this. But guess what? We bought that curved truss. And do you know how many unique, gorgeous setups we've done with that curved truss that we've sold for a higher dollar amount than we would have done doing it the easier way or doing it the cheaper way? And not only did it do that, not only were we able to do it from that perspective, we were able to separate ourselves. And we were able to show the picture of a setup that would not use the curved truss, and this picture of the exact same setup, just using the curved truss. And the clients liked the curved truss better, even though it was more money. And so when local competitors are doing one setup, not using the curve, and they see our setup with the curve, we've had clients that were more attractive just to the curve and have come to us because our setups just look different. They were smoother instead of these hard corners. And also, we've kind of been able to do more unique setups having the circle truss. Granted, it was more than we needed at the time. And we've had to get a storage unit because of it, because it's too big to fit, you know, in a garage. And it takes up a ton of space. It kills space in the trailer that, you know, you could use for crates. But it's allowed us to do a lot of different setups. And I'm sorry I'm bouncing my monitor. But it's allowed us to do a lot of different unique setups. And now we're looking at purchasing a 30-foot circle for a homecoming at a prom next year. So it's opened the doors. Would we have ever looked into curved trussing if I would have listened to the Peanut Gallery and not got it? Probably not. But I saw something I liked. I followed my gut. Guys, the best thing to do is trust your instinct, trust yourself. You know, everything I do whether it works out good or it doesn't work out well, I always try to find the positive in something. And one of our techs, Bubba, Michael Weiss, you know, he always told me every day he tries to do something nice for at least one person and tries to learn something new every day. And, you know, it's inspired me to do nice things for other people, but it's also really made me think about what I could take away from I don't want to say failures, but things that didn't work out. You know, take the vlogs, for example. I tried the vlogs last year. I did it for a couple months. Didn't really work out, but now I'm back doing them, and I feel like I have a good audience now. You know, we may not be getting thousands of hits, but I'm learning stuff. And by talking to you guys and doing like these Q&As, you know, I'm remembering stuff that I forgot about, and it's helping me, you know, get the fire burning back in me to want to create more. And it's kind of, you know, putting my attention on different things that, you know, it's really hard to explain. I really don't know how to explain it, but, you know, it's making me more creative, I feel like. And so I'm rambling at this point, but yeah, I try to find the positive. I try to learn, you know, learn something from the bad and the good. So the message I'm going to leave you guys with is keep moving forward. If you're on that conveyor belt that's moving backwards, you know, if you have to walk to kind of hold still for a little bit, walk, but never stop. And when you have the chance to run, hustle, stay thirsty, you know, follow your hearts, follow your dreams. And guys, you can accomplish anything. Thank you so much for the Q&A this Monday. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. I'll talk to you guys.